Hey everyone, today I have on Owen Messere, aka Prodigy, to go over some hands at high stakes. I'm going to kind of go over some of my thoughts, and then Owen's going to go ahead and just give his take on some of these hands played out. So thanks for coming on, Owen.
Yeah, no worries. You were so nice about the other hand that thought I'd have to come come on, return the favor.
Yeah, and congratulations on the cash game championship. For people who don't know, Owen won the challenge by a large amount. That was a really good performance, and yeah, congrats on that.
Yeah. Cheers, man. Thanks.
Yeah, let's dive into it. This one I had on my channel earlier, and I just thought it was really interesting on what Davy does turn river. So only 17, Barak goes for the 3-bet here. So yeah, he starts off kind of a medium size bet, so he's probably doing some sort of mixed strategy. And so Davy starts with the smaller raise, and I mean, my perspective, I think kind of makes sense because only 17 should have a lot of like ace king, ace jack, kind of like middling ace high hands, maybe king 10 that can kind of be put to indifference right away. But I don't know, Owen, your thoughts kind of on this going for like a small raise here on queen 9-6.
Yeah, I mean he definitely has a bunch of those hands, but this isn't going to be a range bet. So especially for this size. So then when he's not range betting, it does mean that whilst he has those hands in range, if you start raising really aggressively to make them indifferent, they can avoid it by just checking. It's a bit, you can't just say, oh, he's gonna have like ace king no backdoor here every single time. He could easily put that hand in a checking range. Like, I mean, he can have it sometimes, but yeah. That being said, like raising on this kind of board does, it does make some sense. Like obviously it's dynamic. A lot of things can get there. I mean, usually, when you're in position, there's a bit less of a pressure to fast play tons because you can just sort of like call and see how the board plays out. But yeah, ace queen is very strong now, but very vulnerable. So yeah, make some sense to put in a raising range for sure.
Yeah, only 17 is gonna flat. So I thought this is where the hand gets a little interesting.
Does he go for the check?
No, he doesn't go for the check. He goes for like
Okay.
a smaller bet here, which I thought was interesting. So
Okay.
I'd say first off, like mid stakes or lower, most people would probably just like shove on a board like this. I think Theory wants to go more medium bet, more partly because like only 17 should have like a lot of like flush draws and jack 10 and stuff like that that you want to charge a little bit more. So
Yeah.
you're
You want to make those indifferent here. This is probably this is a bit too good a price, but like the implied odds are so small though, because they're so little behind that you don't have to price them out by too much. You know, if we were deeper, this price would be like terrible to give to an open ender because they have the implied odds when they hit. But when there's going to be like 25k in the middle and only 10k behind an open enders, like it's only over realizing his equity by kind of a small amount.
right. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of like connected to what he's doing on the river, which we'll get in a second. So he does flat, the flush comes in.
Oh, I mean, there's probably like donking here for out of position. I think you're just getting the price over. Does he check back now? Just like assuming. I mean, I could see this being a hero check. This is not like that insane to check here, I think. Oh, he does rip.
He gets snapped. So he goes for a thin value.
Well, I might not have got stuck there. I mean, okay, there's only 40% behind. So, but at the same time, like, okay, so on the turn, when Barak calls with only 40% pot to play, there's not going to be that many, like lots of the one pair hands, like lots of the hands that you're thinking about, in terms of like range that you're expecting to get caught by, will just pile the turn here. They'll just get it in, deny some equity, force the combo draws to call off now. Or yeah, like a lot of these hands are just gonna run it here. Like so, but Barak can still have some just complete like complete traps, and also he's talking about how good the price is on the turn. He can basically just continue every flush draw here. because he's either going to have a nut flush draw, which is a very obvious continue. He's going to have a combo draw. It'll be like 6x of diamonds, or it'll be, I don't know, like king 7, king 8 of diamonds, which are also getting the price. You know, they've got an overcard against a queen. They've obviously got the implied odds. So he's continuing every single flush draw. Whereas, like, in position, you don't really want to bet too many flush draws, because like you don't want to bet a flush draw, and that if you can't call it off. You also don't really raise them on the flop if you can't call them off. I mean, there is a similar thing going on where they're all combo draws. So, and it's fine to raise call off a combo draw or like 6x of diamonds. So yeah, I guess, I mean, Davy can have flushes. But anyway, I think out of position is just, when the draws don't get there, they're just going to end up like check over folding, because they're, you know, like they don't, what are they supposed to do when they have these hands, like, and they'll like call all of the showdown which they called on turn, they'll call it. But then on river here, it's like he basically either has like a missed, he has like the nuts either by trap or by like a rivered flush, or he has some like very marginal bits of showdown which like didn't shove turn, which are going to call down. And I think against that range, ace queen just feels really thin. Like, Barak's gonna have to like hero a lot of stuff here, or like not necessarily. Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know whether you want to call it a hero, but if he has a 9, like basically you're trying to get paid by a 9 at this point in a spot where Barak has tons of flushes. It's so easy for him to have a flush. So it feels like basically I'm just trying to break down why ace queen is actually a bit thinner than it looks here, and you know, you can also see from the timing of the hand that Barak like turbo snap checked over on the river. Yeah. So he didn't even consider the lead, right? I mean, I assume this was a recording of it live, so these are like the actual timings.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's see how much time he took. All right, I'll let that run. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of infer from, I mean, I think he checked.
Yeah, you're right. That's
yeah,
call.
You can infer from this that he's not playing a strategy with leads here. And against someone who doesn't run any leads here, like this actually feels this feels a bit on the thin side.
Yeah, that's a good pickup by you that I actually didn't. I passed over the first time. That was a very quick check, which there's almost no way. I mean, it's a very nuanced spot where any player would have to take some seconds if they're considering having a leading range.
Also, it's just like if you have like, you know, if you know there are leads there, even when you don't have the flush, you would like, you know, you would sit there and go, maybe. I mean, like, Barak's a smart guy. Like, maybe he could, you know, mix these things up, but it would be like, you know, it does feel to me like, yeah, it feels to me like Davy missed the chance to make a pretty cool adjustment here, where he could have, you know, he's supposed to get stacked in this hand, right? And I think he had a way to save 10k.
All right, we'll chalk that up for Davy spewing. Get a little greedy on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate. You can see how long he tanks as well. I don't think it's a fake tank. I think he was really thinking about checking it back.
Yeah, he went all the way.
Like, my first instinct when I saw this was that he that's why it was interesting to you. Yeah, I was like, oh, did he actually find the check back? And that's why. Yeah, and I think it would make a lot of sense. I mean, yeah, I also say this, like, I don't know what the specific meta is between like these two players. There might also be something going on where like this could be like a snapshot of like a larger meta game where Barak has led these spots before, and this time he snap checked, and then Davy goes, oh, he snap checked, so he has the 9-8 or whatever. You know, I don't know, like, and so he jams Finn. So obviously you need to put a bit more like, I don't know, a bit more context to that. But I would, yeah. I mean, I like, if it was nameplates off and you told me it was a 500 NL hand, I would just assume that it indicated that the guy didn't have leads in that spot.
Yeah,
and it is a pretty complex spot.
Yeah, honestly, I agree. Yeah. I thought this hand was pretty interesting too. Just so we got Kevin from the small blind, opens 3x, Rock 3 bets. And Kevin goes ahead and continues. I always thought this was interesting right away because, like, obviously you're going to have a very polarized range here. We're going to have a lot of yucky stuff, random stuff. So He goes for like the really tiny bet, which I thought was kind of interesting because it's really tough to have a range advantage from the big blind here when you're super, super polar like that. And I mean, maybe he's just going small for other, maybe splitting range. He has like a large part of the range and then he bets the rest small.
But Barak does quite like a range bet. So it wouldn't surprise me if he like played around with it, saw that if you go really small, range bet is just about fine, and he did this to make his life easier so that he can be focused on other things.
Yeah, I did look it up. It's like, well, I don't know exactly the range he's playing, but it's kind of like if he does this, he can get away with like 75, 80%. So it gets pretty close. I mean, if Kevin's overfolding some underpairs more than he should, because he should be pure, like calling his underpairs, like if maybe, only 17 think sometimes maybe he does a little folding that could.
To be fair, once you start thinking about big blind free bet ranges, it's kind of obvious to call them, because you're not up against a linear range. Like they have a lot of hands which are drawing very thin against pocket sixes, right? Like, they can just have an over under to that, like
right.
I can see. Yeah, I mean, I imagine. Yeah, if you get to 75%, and then Barak is like, well, he just values his turn and river fluency over over playing this like perfect Cbet split.
Yeah,
this is the kind of thing, funnily enough, where when I was not very good at poker, I would see people range bet boards which weren't a range bet, and I'd be like, oh my god, these high stake players suck. And then I realized later on, I was just like, oh, it's no big deal. Like, you can just do whatever you want on flops as long as you like understand what your range is later.
Yeah, I mean, if you play around enough, like the EV differences of no matter what you do, even if it's something like solvers like 0%, like even adjusting for that, as long as you like know your strategies, like you can get away with it with like a 0.05 out of big blind EV error by going like large when you really should be going small. As long as you like construct your turn river strategies, like you can way make up for that,
Yeah, and also it's just like you also have like a very finite amount of you have like a finite amount of brain power. I always refer to it as mental RAM, like your computer. But like the more complex a strat you play in a high frequency spot like c-betting, where you have to do it over and over and over again, even within one short session. Like the more complex a strat you have there, you have to be aware that it is taking away from your ability to execute in some other spots. So it's not just this pure, do I play the more complex strat? Oh, it's higher EV, therefore I'll play it. There is some like abstract loss to your execution somewhere else that you have to weigh up. And I think, Barak is often making the judgment that he's gonna do much better this way around with like, using more of his effort on turns and rivers.
Good advice. Turns blank. And so now he's starting to polarize, which makes sense. I don't think there's any too interesting on the turn unless you think so.
I mean, the 6 is kind of nice for him if you're range betting, just because you have like ace-6 off at a very high frequency but like it's small because like ace-5 off, ace-4 off are like 10-15% frequency free bet, but ace-6 off is like 60 something.
That's true. That's actually a good point. Yeah, it is. That's a good point.
Like, it's not massive, but also, I mean, like a hand like 10-6 off might be mixed free bet, call and fold. It's close. Maybe not quite, but King-6 off's definitely in there as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's minor stuff. It is like it's a little bit less blank for Barak than a 3 is.
No, it's a good point on the ace-6.
Yeah, like 60% of 12 combos adds up.
So the river is interesting. Carrying the 10.
Yeah. Oh, my soul read for the hand was that Kevin was shoving because like now what Barak tries to get him.
That would have been fun, but I thought this was kind of fun too.
Yeah, this is fun. This is quite interesting.
He's tanking.
Nah, in the muck so.
I mean, so I thought this was interesting for a few ones because the 10 is an interesting card. Like you said, like Kevin probably could develop like a shove strategy or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like Ace Jack it's obviously Mergy, but I mean, what do you think? It's an interesting play.
I think given that Kevin tank folded, it probably means that it was good either way, because it means that either Kevin considered calling a hand worse than an ace, or he tank folded an ace.
Right.
Like, I don't think, there's no, like, it can't be anything else, right? So given that Kevin went really deep into the tank here, it probably means the merge worked, or like, or at least was close to working, where like maybe Kevin sat there and like tank folded king queen or something and decided to just call an ace, like, maybe, but it was at least like cuspy, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
he like very strongly considered it. Yeah, that's quite an interesting spot. I'm just wondering how often he's running into it. Yeah, there's queen jack off here in these positions, which obviously won't full frequency trap, but it is like it's ace king 10 rainbow. Like the big blind is the small blind is playing pretty defensively here, even against the small size. They will have some like king 10, ace 10, queen jack, and then obviously they can have like 10x of hearts. Guess like queen 10 and jack 10 still calling on the turn, given how wide the flop defense is. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It makes a contrast to the other hand because Kevin actually clearly did consider the donk here, right? So it was like, yeah, which definitely does add. I mean, it doesn't mean he doesn't have traps here, but it's a different proposition if you're shoving into the completely unfiltered range versus someone who doesn't donk, compared to if you're shoving against someone who does, right? And then it's like, okay, well, I'm only going to run into the nuts like, I don't know, half as much as usual, whatever number you put it on. Yeah, pretty interesting play though. I like this one.
I know. I thought this one was cool. Yeah. I thought it was a cool line. I looked into it a little bit, and it was interesting because Kevin's supposed to develop like some silly, like, I don't know, it was like 8 or 12% all in, which is cool. Like the non full house 10x's theory wants him to shove, and then like his few air combos, which are like a couple of hard hearts, but even with that, like only 17, or Brock's like, it's like a big blind air, I guess, in pure theory, but maybe like the way like the calling range was, it was very complex. Like the amount like of Kevin's like call folds versus his ace X region, it's very like his whole entire range is indifferent, minus a couple like king 10 combos, and obviously any 10x that he has. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool.
I mean, a big blind's quite easy to overcome in this spot. Like it's there's almost 70 big blinds in the middle, so like a big blind of EV is very close to a hand just being a mix.
Right.
Like it's not like,
right.
It's a mistake, but not in any real meaningful way. Like yeah, so that's what it's within the area that would be readable. And then I mean, someone could, if someone does an RNG their top pairs, and you can make a good prediction on which way they're going to go with them, or like, I don't know, like, I mean, you've looked at it with the thresholds. Is top pair just supposed to like flick it in every single time here?
No, it's like mixed with every part of the range, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, also if someone calls a bit like, yeah, if they call like a bit I would assume he's calling more linearly than this. Just especially because if someone shows you a play like this, and I doubt this is the first time Kevin's seen Barak do saying, then you start your frequency of calling king queen goes down in favor of calling the ace deuce pretty fast, right?
I know.
So even with that in mind, like, yeah, there is a frequency he has to hit with top pairs. Like, say he just always folds the second pairs, and then top pairs just fold half the time instead of like calling whatever is 75% that they have to, or like 80% even. And then it's like, well, this is printing.
Right.
So yeah, I would definitely say, yeah, I'd say that, yeah, it's a pretty cool play for the 1BB investment. that there's certainly some upside. You can see the upside to making the theory mistake.
Well, I was going to say that it seems like the upside to downside ratio is pretty high, because worst case scenario, you're doing some sort of chop, and majority of his range is like top pair at this point, or second pair you're beating, or the occasional full house, like good game or a nice hand. But yeah, it seems like upside's high, downside's low.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can also tell yourself that, I was supposed to get stacked on most rivers anyway when they have a boat,
Yeah.
But
yeah, that one was cool, I thought.
Fun hand.
All right, and last one here. Kevin raises from the button. DavyJones small blind, 3 bets. So he's putting out kind of like a medium-ish type bet. Probably implies he's mixing, I would imagine, on queen 6-3.
Yeah, queen high boards you can't completely smash them.
And ace jack seems like fine call, especially if they have spades.
Yeah, I mean it's like queen 6-3 rainbow, very disconnected, very easy to overfold these sort of boards if you're not switched on. So yeah, I can definitely see why he'd want to defend this.
So I mean, they go check, and obviously this board reads well for button, but he did check behind turn, which is somewhat interesting. And then he goes for the 2x shove.
Yeah, I mean it's not a size which I guess people use that much, but like I mean you'll have some. I mean, well, first off, you can obviously have a 4, not tons of them, but pocket 4 stands out. You're not really going to have ace 4 that much because those hands will kind of just stab turn quite often, but like a bit. And then you can also just have like pocket 5s. You could have a trap set on the turn. All of these hands worth all in. I guess he could have. I think he can just about have 9-8 as well, because 9-8 with a backdoor turns an open ender on the 7 and it turns a double gutter on the 10. So I think that hand might be defending the flop. Maybe not. Those hands are like really close. But it does turn a draw on like the 7's probably the best card in the deck for you. You know, pocket 7, 7-6, 5-4 are all like more in the defender's range, whereas like the small blind's gonna flat them quite often. So yeah, I could see 9-8 being just about in there. But yeah, basically there's definitely hands worth shoving here. And also if you think your opponent's gonna call more, there's also like there's plenty of hands which are only losing to a trap as well. You know, it wouldn't be unreasonable to think about shoving like ace queen king queen versus this.
I was going to ask you about that because you think that queen x region can go for a shove here and get away, because like this is a spot where like I feel like a lot of people understand that opponent understands this is good for your range, and a lot of people kind of just get silly with the bluffs, which is fine, but a lot of times you actually end up checking back a lot of these hands that have equity in them, and it's actually easy to overbluff like these like low middling boards in 3-bet pots, I feel like. And if the person is aware, like Davy's aware, he could figure out an overcall situation. But
yeah, I mean my whole life against Davy is just like running exotic bluffs into range calls. So like God, some of the range calls are so brutal. Like the last time we played, he finally had one of the massive range calls go wrong where he calls like a -20 BB catcher and I actually had the nut. Every single one before then has just worked out great for him. So yeah, I think like there's a chance you rip it in here and Davy calls ace king.
That's like, so sick.
I'm not saying I mean like it's just, well, he might tank and let it go just in case he loses to a bluff or something. But like he's definitely the kind of guy who he's really gonna try to put the like puzzle together and work out what you're up to, because and like he's just because he has a hand which could easily fold doesn't mean he's just going to take the hand off and let you have it. Yeah, I mean, still, it's a very solid line from Kevin. I wonder if the ace of spades is maybe not the best because, like, I mean, it's pretty minor, but I think the ace of spades is like maybe better in a smaller size because you might want to share cards with your ace 4 combos, and also I think Davy's supposed to like bluff on river with some like ace of spades hands, and so ace of spades you're kind of like you have an unblocker sort of. But I don't know. This is like deep in the weeds.
Yeah,
I think it's much more important to like understand the fact that one, you want to have a shoving range here, and then be aware of the fact as well that like a lot of the hands which are worse than this, he's just gonna stab the turn. Unless they have a bunch of equity and they don't want to get check shoved on. But though, quite a few of those hands got there, right?
Right.
like not all of them. Obviously, he can have some diamonds as well, but it's at least reasonable to consider going with this. Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, I like the play from Kevin. It's it's obviously hard to say against a guy like Davy whether it's optimal in a vacuum.
Like he might have
Like,
just, like you said,
you know,
he might have just tank folded ace 10, which
yeah,
is a
yeah,
good
or like, I
fold.
mean, he might have just been on the other like have something going on the other table or whatever. Like, I mean, he didn't really go deep into the tank, did he?
I thought he went to the red.
Oh,
Oh
did
no,
he?
he didn't.
I
No, he did.
feel like if Davy has a pair, you get a 20-second time bank there. He at least makes you sweat for it. Like, I'm not, obviously he's not just this like absurd calling station, but you sweat for your folds against Davy. So it kind of just makes me think he had some action on the other table, honestly. Or maybe he had like a super nut low combo or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really stop him against me. He calls combos blocking half my bluffing range correctly all the time. So yeah, that's why I mean it's why Davy's. When people have asked me for tier lists, and I tend to put Davy above Linus, but like until recently I didn't have much experience versus Linus, but like Davy's just owned my soul so many times. And every time I look back on it and I'm just like trying to work out what he put together, I'm just like, oh, he's just so good at this shit. Yeah, he's like, yeah, but he's similar to Barak in the sense that like he's not insanely concerned with accuracy on like in like C betting and whatever. But I mean, he doesn't range bet as much, but I think he's a bit more like, yeah, I don't know. He's not playing like necessarily like perfect GTO sizes in some spots or whatever, but he's just like executing so well in like all of his like pat lines and all of these river decisions. He's like, yeah, he's really making your life hard.
Now I want to watch a heads up match, you versus Davey, and I want to watch him call you down 3 straight, 10 high.
God, yeah, it hasn't been much of a match so far. We played off and on for like the past year or so, and he's up a lot. Yeah, he says it's all variance, and I guess it is. Yeah,
Variance.
hasn't gone well playing against him.
Cool. Well, thank you, Owen, for your analysis and
Yeah,
coming
no
on.
worries.
It was great to hear, and really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, man. It was fun.
Yeah, gotta have you on again for sure.
Sweet, yeah, sure.
Okay, see you, everyone.